Welcome to the next session. Don't do it like Joe, all about family, friends, football, and Forex. Today, welcome with me, Mr. Xavier Justo. Hi, Javier, how are you? Can you hear me, Javier?
Now I can hear you. Sorry, I had a problem with my internet, but now it's back.
Okay, I would like to know welcome, first of all, to the show. How are you, where are you, and how are things going for you?
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Well, obviously I'm good. I'm fine. I'm in Spain, actually, my second country. The first one is the place where you are actually, Geneva. So thanks for bringing me to the show.
Fantastic. Well, we are right now, we are doing a bit of reports on whistleblowing, and I don't think there are many more in the world who can get more insight in that topic than you. Geneva, are you born in Geneva, Javier?
I was born in Geneva 54 years ago. It seems like yesterday, but time is flying.
Okay, so wonderful place to live, to grow up. And of course, getting into banking and asset management, a very good place to be. And then Petro Saudi came.
Yes.
Yes. So now, instead of me talking, Javier, tell us from your view what you have experienced since 2009. I think it started a bit. What happened to you and to this process, which later was the called 1MDB scandal?
So to summarize, otherwise we will spend a day or maybe a couple of days together. So as you said, I grew up in Geneva, which was a nice place at the time for being in the banking industry. It was quite easy. So I worked in various banks until 1998. So the last century, unfortunately, that's a long time ago. And after I started a portfolio management company in Geneva. And at that time, end of the 90s, I became friend with a guy that his name is Tarek Obeid. It was my friend. In 2005, I was still managing my portfolio company. He created a company called Petro Saudi. It was just the name. They created, they just invented this beautiful name. It was him and one of the son of the previous king of Saudi Arabia. They found this beautiful name, Petro Saudi. But they didn't do pretty much anything except trying to do some ventures in the old business in South America, which was a failure from 2006 to 2008, to early 2009. And I was still having my own company. I sold my company in 2009, in August 2009, and I left to Thailand with my girlfriend at that time, who is now my wife and the mother of my son. So we left to Asia September 2009. And we spent there a few months. And in February 2010, Mr. Obeid called me and asking me if I could come back to Europe, to London specifically, and take care of the company he had in London. We did in September a joint venture with this now famous Malaysian company called the 1MDB. So first I said no, but with my wife we decided that why not go to London, spend there a year or two, and go back to Asia. Asia will not move anyway. So I went to Petro Saudi London. I was the number 3 of the company. The offices were beautiful. We had not a lot of employees, like 7, 8 employees. They bought a rig, which is a drilling ship in that was doing some holes at the bottom of the ocean. I don't want to go too specific. Yeah. They were getting money from the Venezuelan state company PDVSA on a daily basis. They pay you to drill holes, pretty much. So when I left Petro Saudi, end of August 2009, this company was pretty much non-existent. They had an office, they had a space, to be precise, in my Geneva company, Finafor, and they had just a guy picking up a phone in Saudi Arabia, and in London there were 4 part-time employees. So from August, where the company was worth, we can say nothing, because they had no assets. When I came back in like September, like 6 months later, not even 6 months later, this company was in the best place in London, Curzon Street. Mr. Obaid bought a flat for £8 million. Mr. Mahoney, the number 2 of the company, bought a house in I think it was Notting Hill for £6 million. There was a lot of money around, and just by questioning and seeing a little bit, I just saw that they did a joint venture with this Malaysian company, 1MDB. 1MDB sent, at the end, the whole deal, they sent $1.8 billion, and Petrosaudi allegedly, in the joint venture, they brought assets in Turkmenistan worth more than $3 billion. So how on earth a company that was worth nothing in August could have grown from nothing to 3 to 4 billion US dollars? So I spent there a year. The business was good for me. It was, we bought a second ship for Venezuela to continue try to dig holes at the bottom of the ocean. So I went to Venezuela probably 10 times in a year. I had good contacts there. We solved a lot of technical problems, financial problems. Everything was going on the business side. Everything was going well for me. I was just doing things very interesting. But the relationship with Mr. Obaid was going from bad to worse. I mean, it's a common saying that says that when you become rich, you change. What I discovered is that when you become extremely rich, you open the door to all your whatever you want, your vices, your fantasies. So I was happily living in London with my girlfriend, my actual wife, and Tarek and the other guy, Patrick Mahoney, just were spending money with nice big parties, with what goes with all those parties. I don't want to be specific, but just a lot of drugs and a lot of Russians, beautiful ladies. Yeah. So that was not my way of living. So I ended up having quite a fight with Mr. Obaid, and I decided to resign. And I went back to the place where I was before, meaning Asia.
Okay, so you went from London then to Asia.
Went back to Thailand. We bought a house there. We bought a big plot of land. We started building a quite nice resort, which was finished pretty much the day I was arrested in June 2015.
So what did you do between 2011 and 2015?
So a few things. I mean, some very interesting, other not so interesting. First, I got engaged with my wife. Second, we got married in February 2013. We had a beautiful boy in 2014. And we were, in the meantime, I mean, if you know a little bit about constructions, when you're trying to build a very big resort in Thailand, it's time consuming. So it took us like pretty much 3 years to complete the project. Okay, so basically you had a banking career, then portfolio management, then this Petro-Saudi story came in for 1 year, and then you thought you basically retire or have a bit of a break for private and real estate purposes in Thailand. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of things in my life. I can give you another examples. We had with my partner in early 2000, we had a wood factory in Romania. We had also a portfolio company in France. We had a shipbuilding company in France. I mean, I was, and I'm still always open to new adventures.
Okay. So now back to what you said. This June 2000, what, 14 or 15? It was
15, the 20th
15.
June 2015.
20th of June, you got up in the morning. What happened exactly? Do you still remember what happened?
My friend, it was like yesterday, like the day before. Like it's so vivid. So my wife was with my boy in Geneva on holidays. I was supposed to go there a couple of weeks later. So this day, it was a Monday. I was expecting at, I think it was it was 3 p.m. I was expecting the visit of the immigration officers to renew the working permit. Every year you have to renew your working permit as a foreigner in Thailand.
Okay.
So I did my sport in the morning, a couple of normal stuff, administrative stuff. And at 3 p.m. I was in the living room and the maid came saying, "Oh, there is a lot of cars coming here." Okay, why not? And I looked through the window and I saw probably 6, 8 cars, like 15 people. And at that time, that was the year when the government was overthrown by the military. It was the new military regime, which is
Okay.
still ruling the country these days. So
Okay.
my thought at that time, and it was like yesterday, said, wow, this new government is taking the immigration stuff very seriously. That was my thought. You can love it. It was like
Yes. Yes.
this.
Sorry for laughing, but it is funny actually. Yes.
It is now. It is funny.
Yeah.
So I would say, okay, why not? I mean, they're doing their job. So I opened the door. I went to greet them. A guy came, a Thai guy, said, "Hey, Mr. Justo, how are you doing today?" Long time. I said, okay, I don't remember this guy, but maybe I met him before. So I put my hand forward to shake his hand, and out of nowhere, like in the movies, in 2 seconds, I was handcuffed, brought inside the house with like 15 people around, talking Thai to me, which I have no idea. I couldn't learn Thai.
Incredible. Yeah.
So that's when I realized that this was not the immigration police, as a fact.
Oh, okay. What happened then next? You were sitting there handcuffed, and then
I was handcuffed with these plastic straps that they use now. I was bleeding because, I don't know, they didn't do their jobs properly, or they wanted to do that. So I was bleeding. They were talking Thai, and I had to convince them that I was not able to speak Thai. So they put a larger handcuff, and the guy said Petro Saudi. Okay, now I understood where this was coming from. And they wanted me to sign papers in Thai. He said, there is no way, I mean, whatever, I will never sign something in a different language that I don't understand, and particularly in Thailand.
yeah.
So after that, he showed me a paper in English, which I refused to sign because it was, I was like saying I was guilty. I was not even able to read. I was in shock. So they brought me to the local police station in Koh Samui. I mean, it was pretty much a very small office. They told me what was happening, if I had a lawyer. I tried to call my lawyer in Koh Samui, but I couldn't get through him. So the police sent me a couple, supposedly they were lawyers. They put me, say, okay, tomorrow you have to go to Bangkok for the bail. Don't worry, it's a minor offense. They are accusing you of a blackmail attempt. But he said, don't worry, we go to Bangkok because the claim has been put in Bangkok. But we go there tomorrow morning. You will be back in the afternoon, 100%, because it's a very minor offense. Even guilty or not guilty is not relevant. You will be out on bail. So they put me in a cage outside. This was a real cage, like for a big dog or parrot. So I spent the night outside, like a little bit in shock, but I was able to call my wife. A friend of the maid went to close to the cage, and I could talk through a loudspeaker to my wife. And I told her, of course, she was crying when I told her I've been arrested. But I said like those words exactly. Don't worry. Tomorrow evening I'll call you back when I'm home. It's nothing. It's totally bullshit. But that's the way it has to be.
Makes sense.
At that time I was really thinking I'll be back home tomorrow. That's okay. I mean, it's not a pleasant experience, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. All right. So obviously you didn't go home next day evening.
No, but I was pretty. I mean, the next morning, some police came from Bangkok, nice guys speaking very well English. We were like 4 or 5. They brought me to the airport, and I say, "This is a tiny airport. I know pretty much everybody here." So they were quite nice with me. They put me some clothes around my wrist, not to see that I was handcuffed. So we traveled to Bangkok. It's an hour flight, even less than that, 40 minutes. We arrived at the big airport, the Suvarnabhumi airport, and that's where the show started. So we crossed the airport. It's like a 20 minutes walk, and reaching the end of the airport, I saw a group of people, like military, police, like probably 15 people, and we were going towards them. So, but I was still like, this is not for me. I mean, I am already the police, and they gave me pretty much to those guys, and there were like people with handguns, shotguns, hand grenades. I mean, the full. They couldn't do bigger than that. And again, now it's quite funny. But my real thoughts at that time say, okay, I'm with them, but we're expecting somebody else, like a big drug trafficker, I don't know, a pedophile guy or whatever, the big shot, not me. So nobody was coming. We went through the immigration, security, whatever, and we exited the airport to the right side. I don't know if you know Bangkok airport or some of the viewers went to the right side of the airport, and there was like probably 8 to 12 vans, 20 people. I'm tall, I'm 1.90 meters, but all of those guys were like taller than me, with the protective gear, with the handguns, shotguns, as I said, hand grenades, talking through microphones. And at that time, I'm still, okay, the big guy is still coming.
Yes.
I'm still convinced that, I mean, I'm going there for a bail for a minor offense. So, okay, why not? So I entered the van and we crossed Bangkok like only in Thailand you see that. We were like 12 vans crossing Bangkok. Like, I don't even know. I'm quite sure even the king has this treatment. We were like, probably Obama will have had the same the same show. And there we went. I mean, there we went to the local police station, and they said now it's too late for the court, so you have to spend the night in the local cell, and we go tomorrow morning to the court for your bail application. I say, why not? I'm still convinced. Imagine how stupid I was. I'm still convinced that's okay. It's another night. I'm tough enough to sleep in another cell for another night. So I slept in the cell in the middle of Bangkok with whatever you can think of local personalities. I mean, prostitutes, drug dealers, ladyboys. I mean, they don't do any kind of discrimination there. They open the door, they throw you in, and good luck. See you tomorrow.
So you were
no food, no water, no nothing. Just to be precise.
Okay. So the second night. So the second night.
That's the start of my second night. I'm still like, of course, I was pissed off because it's not something that anybody can like. But I say, okay, why not? So I spent the night there without sleeping, as you can imagine, because there is no bed, no mattresses, no nothing, no water, no food. It's like with people that are entering the cell every other hour, and very strange people, by the way. But that's okay. So next day, they come to pick you up. We went to the local police station again, say, okay, now you have to go to court. Your lawyers are waiting for you there. Okay, why not? So we go to the court, and I arrive at the court, again, the same show. Like those special forces. Okay, I saw my lawyers. They said, you have to wait with the police. I'm going to do the application. I gave them the money. I mean, I gave them my credit card and the debit card and whatever maestro I had for them to have the money they needed. It was around 10,000 Swiss francs, which is apparently the average for a bail. So of course they took the money.
Yes.
And so I entered the court. I was with the chief of the investigation, an old police guy who was speaking quite fluent English. And he said, okay, now we have to go to see somebody. They brought me to the first floor, and I entered a very nice office, which was the office of the number one of the local police, the chief of police of Bangkok. If you are familiar with the Thai way of doing of the Thai government, you have to know that the number one of the chief of the police of Bangkok, it's pretty much the number 10, 12 of the government.
Yeah.
And so I was, at that moment, I was starting to be very impressed or smelling something fishy. But again, you have to believe in good things, not in bad things. So, okay, why not?
Yeah.
There, they introduced me to, I do it quick. They said, you have to meet somebody from Interpol. And like I was, what? But again, yeah, if I have to go through that to go back home, let's do it. So a guy came, he was pretty much my age or a couple of years older, tall, very well dressed, an English guy. And to summarize, he said, okay, Xavier, you have done something wrong, but you are not a bad guy. You have to help us. This is an international investigation with Malaysia, the UK, and Thailand. You have to cooperate with us. You have to plead guilty to whatever we say, and you will be home soon. And of course, I said, I do it short. I said, there is no way I'm going to plead guilty of anything I haven't done, neither in this country nor in another country. He said, that's your last chance. You're going to jail. And I was still convinced. I mean, my bail was being done. But
yes.
So we exited the room. They say, you have to go to this room. I say, why not? So they opened the door, and there the frenzy started. There was like 20, 30 cameramans, a guy from the press. If you saw the pictures, there are all the big guys from the police seated. There are those people with these special forces with the shotguns, with everything on my back. And they asked me to sit there, and they were starting to speak to me in Thai, which I had no idea what was going on. And this lasted, I don't remember, but probably half an hour. And after that, say, okay, now you go to jail. And I went to jail, and that's when I realized that something was very, very, very bad.
Okay. Did you have touch again with your wife during that time or not?
No, no. The last time I talked to her was in my cell, the first cell in Koh Samui.
Okay. And you still, like from Koh Samui, all this procedure you did with the same clothes? Like same clothes, not showered? Or did they let you at least shower or stuff like that?
No, no, my friend, nothing. We will talk later about the conditions of what they do to you as a prisoner in Thailand. No shower, no nothing. They give me food, of course, and water because they need me to look a little bit decent, but
yes.
No shower for 2 days.
Okay, same clothes and all. Okay, so you got in prison and you got stuck there. When was the next person coming to you to negotiate?
So we enter because when you exited the court, they have a local bus to drive to the prison, the DOC bus. So you are packed with, like, I don't know if it's a bus for 30, you are 80 people. You arrive at night, so you don't realize anything. They take your clothes, they give you some disgusting stuff to wear. They put you naked. They check if you have drugs or whatever weapons in your intimate part. That's and they put you in a cell. You have to sleep in the ground. There is no mattresses. There is no nothing. They give you a couple of blankets. They smell like death, probably. But you can't sleep. It's now you know that you are stuck there for not for a day or two. You know that something. So you wake up in the morning and you see the reality, which is absolutely disgusting. It's dirty as dirty can be. The prisoner, they look like very bad looking prisoners. The smell. There is no outside toilets. The only toilets you have, there are outside toilets, but it's more you can call it holes with kind of running water. common running water. So if you come after the first one, you can imagine what's going on.
Yep.
So I stayed there 3 days without seeing any normal human being. And at that moment, you are really, I mean, I was scared. Like now I'm smiling because this is over. But the feeling at that time is like hell exists and I've been sent to hell. So I'm there 3 days. And after 3 days, I'm called for a visit. They say, okay, great, I'm happy. But instead of bringing me to the visiting center, which is the normal way of doing it, you have a space for visits with glasses, phones. They brought me to the offices of the number 2 of the prison, the vice director, whatever they call it. Yeah. And there, to my surprise, I see this guy. His name is Paul Finnegan. It's a real name. So I say, how are you, Xavier? I say, well, yes. He said, okay, now I'm giving you the last opportunity, otherwise I will go back to England. So it's either you cooperate with us, you do what I said, you will plead guilty of whatever we want, we will take care of you, we'll take care of your family, you'll be home before Christmas. Otherwise, your only option is to spend 9 to 10 years in the same cell that you spent the last nights. Well, I mean, I didn't argue with the guy, I didn't say why not, maybe not. Say, okay, give me the papers and let's move. Because you have no idea the insanity, the immorality, that it's beyond imagination, the situation inside a Thai cell. And I'm not saying that because I was maybe used to a kind of luxury life, if you want. I was an ex-banker, I did quite well. It's not because I was used to this kind of life. It's beyond, even for a poor local criminal guy, it's beyond imagination. They crowd a cell which probably in Europe you will put 2. With 3 people, they will start the protest. With 4, they will burn the place. There, they put 20 people. We were 50 in the first cell. I mean, I had to sleep with the feet of a guy, or foot of a guy here, probably the ass of the other there. It's 45 degrees because there's no air conditioning, as you can imagine. You have a couple of fans. So you have to do your...
But Javier, if I understand correctly, you still thought this is a temporary thing for a couple of days, right? You didn't think...
At that moment, before having the visit of this Paul Finnegan, you don't know. I had no idea. No contacts. The embassy just came to tell me if I needed something like fruit but for the rest, they couldn't do anything because I was in prison.
Okay. So the Swiss ambassador came to see you?
The Swiss consul, they came. He came quite quick because apparently by law they have to do that. And as you know, as you are aware, they publicized my arrest in all the local and international press. So I was not a common prisoner. Let's put it that way. So
okay, back to this conversation with this Paul. So what, you signed it, but you still were not home Christmas, right? Or what happened? What went wrong there?
So I'll do it quick. So the deal was help us, cooperate, plead guilty, write whatever we want as confessions, and you'll be home before Christmas. And otherwise, you will stay here for 10 years. So I did whatever they did. They asked me to do. I wrote those fake confessions. My English is quite okay, but if you read the real confessions, it's written by an English guy. He was dictating me what I had to write. So I asked for not having access to my lawyer and so on and so on and so on, which unless you suffer from a kind of mental illness as a foreigner, you will not refuse to have a lawyer in Thailand. But I refused because they asked me to refuse. So I had to say that I was a bad guy, that I stole the data, that I was working with the Malaysian opposition, that all the data I gave were tampered with by me or the journalist I was working for, that Petro Saudi was a very nice and good company, that the opposition was bad. I mean, that was the scheme. I had to say the same to a couple of journalists that were allowed to visit me, that they choose, because I didn't choose them. There were hundreds of journalists I asked to interview me.
So how did you feel in that moment? Did you feel the system fell on you and you lost? Or I mean, how do you feel?
I've never been to jail. Never. I never done anything to go to jail. Yes, probably not to go to jail. A couple of speeding tickets. I may have not paid my parking tickets on time. Those things.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In Geneva.
And probably as a kid, I took a couple of sweeties in a shop. I don't remember. But after in August, so after 2 months, not even 2 months, 6 weeks, it goes fast. I went to trial. They said, plead guilty, you will be sentenced for less than 6 months. So when you have done 2 months, you say, okay, another 4 months, even maybe less. So it's okay, it's doable. They were taking care of me. They moved me to a better cell, which you still sleep on the ground, but you don't have the testicles of the others lying on your neck.
Okay.
You still have to, you still have to use a hole to do your daily body routine.
Okay.
But it's better than being with 50 people around you. They brought my wife inside the prison, which was very nice. They brought my son inside the prison, inside, not any kind of visit.
How old was he then? He was like what? 2 years?
At that time, he was a 1 year old and something. So he knew who I was, because I mean, he's a human being, but he was not. Yes. He started to talk a little bit at that time, but I mean, it was very emotional from my side. I can imagine. That was August. I was sentenced. I went to the court for the sentencing with a private van, again with these security special forces. They emptied the court for me. There were local news, international news around. And instead of going to the trial room, they brought me to a private office. There was a guy that I assume he was a judge, because he didn't introduce himself. There was a guy seated close to him. There was the police that arrested me and a couple of other guys, and the translator who spoke English, like I probably speak Mandarin. Pretty much nothing, but by law they had to add one.
Yeah.
So the duration of this trial, but the Swiss embassy knew after that. It's probably 5 minutes max since the moment I entered the room that the guy, he said something. So the lady wrote 6 divided equal 3. So, and I swear it's true what I'm going to tell you. So in my mind, it's when you plead guilty, your sentence is by law divided by 2. Okay. In my mind, when she wrote 6 divided equal 3, it was, okay, my sentence it's 6 months, but as I pleaded guilty, it's 3 months. I've been here 2
Makes
months,
sense.
so I have another month. So I was smiling. And at that moment, when I was smiling, she wrote a Y and said, what's that? I said, hey, good, not 6 years, 3 years. She said, what? So now I became white, and they said, now you have to leave. And when leaving, I passed by the chief of the investigation, the Lieutenant Colonel Pong Sawai. I will never forget the name of this guy.
Yeah.
And he said, don't worry, we will change the paper. This is just for the court. I'm still innocent. I'm not used to those proceedings. I've never been to jail. I had a normal Swiss life. I mean, for me, that maybe everything is strange in this country, so why not? I opened the door. I was in the room for 4 minutes, 5 max. There is already the press with the cameras, and they chained me. I don't know if you saw I had chains like the slaves in the couple of 100 years ago in the States.
I googled, of course. I googled, of course, a lot before our interview, and I saw a lot of things. I think I remember chains as well. Yes. Yeah.
I had the chains. I mean, well, I was so in shock that I was not even embarrassed by that. So I went back to the prison, and I had the visit of Mr. Mahoney again and Mr. Paul Finnegan saying, "Don't worry, that was for the press because we had to do that, but the deal is the deal. You will be home before Christmas. You have to continue to work with us." So I continue. I did an interview with the Malaysian delegation. The police from Kuala Lumpur came to interview me. And again, I had to say the same, that I stole the data, that I worked with the opposition, that the data were tampered with, that I was a very bad guy, that PetroSea was a very good company, and so on and so on. And I was still convinced that because my wife was coming from time to time, they allowed her to enter the prison. And I was still convinced, okay, it's November, another month. And in November, Mr. Mahoney came to see me. I think it was the last time. And he said, the deal is it's pretty much over, but don't worry, it will not be December, maybe a little bit later. And at that moment, with my wife, we realized that I've been used and abused. So what she did, she immediately contacted the Swiss ambassador, the FBI. She went to see the FBI in Bangkok. She went to see the FBI in London. She had to give some information to FEDPOL, the federal police in Switzerland. And that how it started. So after that, the Swiss authorities, they knew what was happening. And I was supposed to be transferred to Switzerland as a prisoner, but better be a prisoner in Switzerland. So to finish my sentence, but that was in September, almost a year after my arrest. But it didn't work because the Najib Razak, the former prime minister, came the week before my release or my transfer to Switzerland, and by coincidence, my transfer was denied, even though I signed all the papers with the embassy, with the local authorities, with the Department of Correction, with the minister of the prison, whatever his name or is. So I was stuck, and at the moment, my wife left in May 2000, the following year, so in 2017. And when she left, I had another 2 years to serve. But she was being threatened by Patrick Mahoney and Paul Finnegan that if she stopped cooperating, or if I stopped cooperating, or if she talked to the media, I will spend my life in prison. So what she did, the 12th of May 2017, I remember this date like yesterday, she had to leave and she didn't want. And I said, I can live inside the prison for another 2 years. I will have to take care only about me. And this I can do. I know the rules of the prison now. But if I have to take care of myself and think about what happened to you and to our son, I will not make it. So she left the 12th of May. That was the last time I saw my wife.
12th of May back to Switzerland.
She left Thailand definitely to Switzerland with our son.
Okay. And then would you call this as a breakthrough from your wife to start making it more public than from Switzerland?
Yeah,
or?
that was I mean, I was inside. I had no contact. I was not allowed to receive visit except the one from my visiting list. Of course, they make it hard to have access to me. No newspaper, no nothing. So for me, I didn't know what was happening. Afterward, I knew that what she has done, going to the public, to the media, explaining the truth, visiting the FBI, the local, the FEDPOL, the ambassador, that was a changing moment in all of this.
Okay.
I think I do believe that without her and without what she did, I would have been sent to Malaysia, where I would be dead for already a few years.
Wow. So in a matter of fact, you basically revealed, or no, when did you hand over the data to this journalist? How she called Claire?
Claire, okay. I'll try to summarize. In 2014, my wife was pregnant. I received a call from somebody, and it was her. I'm Claire Castle-Brown. I'm a journalist. I'm exposing the corruption in Malaysia. I have heard that you may know or you may have some information about the 1MDB scam.
Okay.
That was the moment my wife was pregnant. We were finishing the resort. So I said, if you want to see me, you have to come to Thailand. I'm not going to travel. So she came to visit me in 2014. We had 2 meetings. Now we became friends quite immediately. She's still somebody very present in my life. I'm glad and very proud to consider her as my friend, as a family friend. So I told her. I mean, first time I wasn't really willing to show anything, but she convinced me of exposing the facts that I may have, and I told her I have 227,000 emails. I don't know all the truth. I haven't been able to go through 227,000 emails, which with the attachment, probably it's 1,000,000 pages in 4 different languages: Spanish, Arabic, French, English, and everything is inside. From one email, it's regarding the purchase of, I don't know, an aquarium for the London offices. The next one is a transfer of 700 million. The following one is the request for. So I say, I don't know the whole picture. I just know that something is fishy. And I said, and she said, what do you want? I say, Petro Saudi is still owing me some money. I will get probably some problems in my life if I give you that. I was not expecting the problems I had, to be honest. Yeah. I wouldn't have done that way, but that's the past. It was done like this. I said, I just need, because I will face some problems. And again, I wasn't expecting the ones I had. I'm not trying to sell that for it's not an auction. If I want to sell that, I think I can contact the entourage of Najib Razak or Mr. Jolo, and that was the purpose. I just want the money that Petro Saudi is owing to me. So after a few weeks or months, because my son was born in October, so we were quite busy. If you have a kid, or if the auditors have kids, they know how busy you are. It was my first kid. So in February 2015, I went to Singapore, and she introduced me to this Malaysian Singaporean guy that owns some media in Malaysia, and we spent the day together. And they knew the 1MDB scam better than I did. So with my files, we went through, we found evidences, and he said, how much you want? He said, hey, what I asked Claire, it's 2 million. He said, okay, how can we do? And I say, take the file and we'll see. If you want to pay me, pay me. If you don't want to pay me, don't pay me. I mean, at one stage, I don't want to look like the hero, the Mahatma Gandhi walking through the town with the white dress and the stick. But sometimes in life, it happens. It's a choice. Yes. It was either give me the money and I give you the file, and I couldn't. I mean, we talked for a day about corruption in Malaysia and the poor fishermen of Malaysia, the poor people of Sabah or Sarawak. And I said, take the file, and that's it. So I was arrested. I gave the files in February. Claire started to publish the first articles a month later, and 2 months later, 3 months later, I was arrested.
Okay. So there was clear connection, and then you also probably realized in prison that there was a connection to this event, that you handed over this data, or clear?
The minute I was arrested, when the guy said Petro Saudi, I knew. I mean, I knew the connection.
Speaking about connection, in some media reports also appears the Geneva connection got you in trouble.
Yes, I mean, that's
what
being bad treated or abused in Thailand by Thai people is not good, but in a way, if you know the countries, you can understand. But the Geneva connection, I mean, I swear everything is true. It has been published, it has been reported, it's part of our complaint. Mr. Mahoney, in August, after the first month, he said, we're going to find you a Swiss lawyer that will handle your case and do some PR, and it would help you. So my first lawyer, Swiss lawyer, to defend my case in Thailand was chosen and paid by PetroSaudi, the people that sent me to jail. His name is Marc Anzelin from the La Live firm. I'm not talking about a shitty firm in the mountains. He's one of the biggest, if not the biggest law firm in Switzerland. He was chosen and hired by and paid by PetroSaudi. But he was not paid directly by PetroSaudi. If you ask him, he would say, I was not paid by PetroSaudi. They use a middleman, a company which is KBSD in Geneva, that paid the fees to this Marc Anzelin.
So
a Geneva lawyer, can you imagine that? A Geneva lawyer from one of the top firms was chosen and paid by the same people that send their clients to jail.
Yes, it's actually incredible. Yes, but and this is understood under Geneva Connection. Like when in the media is the word Geneva Connection, or is that circle bigger than just one lawyer?
It's bigger than that. It started with this lawyer, but they also had a PR guy that told me how to talk to the press. That was the guy that made all the newspaper in Switzerland add my confessions. They also of course they paid the guys from the prison to have access to me directly. They paid the justice system to allow me not to go to court, but to be sentenced in a private office. You have to pay. I mean, in Thailand, they don't do that for either for free or for the good justice. It's corruption.
So afterwards, you think it was all a setup which basically was to protect all the people involved in the 1MDB scandal. Is that right?
It was all to protect them and to protect the money they stole. I was used as a pawn, like to say, okay, you see, he's the guilty. He's confessing that he stole the data. I'm not an IT guy. You know, if you can just imagine how to download 227,000 emails from a server that you can't enter only with biometrics. That means your retina, your fingerprints, cameras, tapes. I mean, but I confessed. So for the public, yeah, he confessed. So he did it. He did. Yeah. He said that he's working with the opposition, that those are not the genuine data, and so on and so on. It was a setup. I think they saw that they could escape with that, because after that, I would have been probably either dead, killed, or extradited to Malaysia. They didn't expect my wife being so good, so tough, so smart. After when everything was exposed, that I was a pawn, that I was abused with some evidences of the intervention of fake lawyers and so on, fake Scotland Yard officers, they couldn't do anything to me. That would be an admission of guilt.
Your wife is really very courageous, and she had success with her actions.
She's somewhere around. If she comes, I will introduce it to her. I mean, I don't want to be use a bad word, but my friend, she has balls. Believe me.
Oh yes. I mean, it's an incredible story, Xavier. The role of your wife, I think, saved your life, or saved at least your future. That's how I see it now. Claire was a good support, I guess, also on the media side, because you need some PR when you are in trouble. What about the role of the Swiss? Well, the Geneva Connection, we also have discussed their bad part. But what's the Swiss authorities? What's their role in their game, in that whole story?
So the whole story. So at the very beginning, I was upset, but I can understand. For them, they saw in the press, the guy is in jail, is confessing, is admitting he's a criminal. Why are you going to help a criminal? That's not the point of being in prison. The moment my wife went public and they realized that whatever she gave as evidences were genuine and true, they were after me like family. I had a guy from the Swiss embassy in Bangkok that for the last month he was coming to see me, to visit me every week. And you have no idea. My wife, who is coming now to say hello, please.
Okay.
She's not only smart, she's beautiful.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My name is Joe. Don't do it like Joe. You are Laura, right?
Yes, Laura, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and nice for joining in and say hello. A big compliment to you and your family. What you went through is just amazing, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And
All the
please
best
send
to
my
you.
regards. Yes, thank you very much. And send
Thank
your
you.
regards to your little son. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's at school, yeah.
Okay. So thank you.
Just 1 second, Joe. Just 1 second. I have to put some juice in the phone.
Okay.
Okay. So about the Swiss. So at the beginning, of course, they treated me as a criminal, which I confess I was. So I understand the point. The moment they realized, they look after me like really I was. So he came to visit me every week, like giving me news of my wife, of the situation. They never abandoned me. The day I was released, they came to escort me. There was the chief of the, let's say, the local police at the Swiss embassy, the Swiss guy. He took me with. That's Thailand. I was brought in prison by the special forces because I was a very bad guy apparently, but I was escorted to the airport by the same special forces because I was a good guy. This is Thailand.
Yes.
But
now, I forgot one thing, or I missed one thing. What triggered actually your release? What was it effectively that they opened the door and said, Xavier, go?
My friend, this is another story. Sometimes you have to be lucky in life. So my wife left in May 2017, the 12th. I was supposed to make another 2 years in jail. That's a lot. But in August of that year, the previous king, King Bhumipol, gave an amnesty for the 70 years of coronation. I don't remember exactly. So my sentence was reduced by a third, meaning that instead of 3 years, I had 2 years to serve. So in August, I did already 14 months, meaning I was very happy. That meant that I had another 10 months to do. I was happy of that. Can you imagine the situation?
Wow. Yeah.
But in October, he died. I'm not happy to see people dying. He didn't do anything to me. But in the prison, it was a major excitement, but because that meant that another amnesty was coming. So the new king, by tradition, gave another amnesty. So that gave me the golden opportunity to have the door open.
Okay, so it was not really. So it was not really that someone proved your innocence or something. It was basically.
My friend, it doesn't work like this. When you are sentenced, you are sentenced. It's either you have a new trial or you have to finish your sentence. That's pretty much the way in all the countries. So just going back to the Swiss, because I want to say thanks again. So the previous ambassador to Switzerland in Bangkok, Mr. Ivo Sieber, spent the day with me at the immigration center before my transfer to the airport and at the airport. And I do have to thank him again for what he has done to me and the support he showed to my wife.
Okay.
So I get emotional from time to time because it's still quite heavy from time to time. But he was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable guy. He supported me and my wife like. I was very proud. I was very proud to be Swiss. I choose to be Swiss in 2000 when I was born. When I was 18 years old, it was a decision. I was born Spanish. I decided to become Swiss when I was 18, and I was so proud of being Swiss then at that moment.
Okay. Now, two last questions, Javier. One, because the finance and the banking industry got shaken up through this scandal. What's the role of the banks from your view? Because I actually contacted you for an interview because of this recent huge record high fine to Goldman Sachs, 2.9 billion, because of wrongdoing, which they have admitted, which they have denied long, but then admitted. Where do you see the financial system's role here, or which banks were really not doing their job?
So to have a financial crimes, you need criminals, you need money. But one thing that you need more than everything, it's a bank. If you have if you have money, you need a bank. If you have to launder money, you need a bank. The problem, a bank, by definition, it's a company created to make profit. You have to repay shareholders, you have to pay your employees. So it's not an ethical corporation. So the problem, I started working at the UBS in 1987. Okay? At that moment, you could have private jets coming straight from Colombia with bags loaded with cash, probably with blood still with the cash. No question asked. No question asked. At that time, a lawyer could open an account in a bank just saying, I know the final beneficial owner, but I'm not allowed to reveal that to you. Those were the 80s. Now it's 2020. Do you know what has changed? That now you have zillions of rules and regulations. You have compliance officers. You have whatever control that you want. But at the end, it's a company created to make profit. And there is the human factor. I have talked to a few compliance through interviews and so on, compliance officers. At the end, we always go back to the same. You have a new client that brings not 1 million, because if you try to open an account with 1 million, they will show you the door or call the financial police in case there's something that they don't like. If you come with a potential deal for 1 billion, a few banks will help you to create a very nice legal story because they need money to pay for the staff, to pay for them as bonuses, and to pay the shareholders. I'm not saying that all the banks are crooks. Everybody wants a legit business. They don't want problems. But if you go with 1 billion, they will help you. If you go with 1 million, they will say, please go to see the other bank or don't come back, please. That's the problem. Okay. The solution, I don't have the solution. Yes, the solution will be that every single transaction should be approved by an independent entity, but that's not doable.
Okay.
As a compliance officer, just one last thing about compliance officer, because I had these remarks a few times from them. If you see something that you don't like as a compliance officer, you have to report. You have to report to your boss. If the boss says, yes, don't worry, I know the story, just sign here. Because this is how it works. Just sign here, it's okay, I know the story, I take the responsibility. Are you going to go against your chief's will? Because he's the one that will decide at the end of the year if you get the bonus that you need to pay for your mortgage or for the kids' school or your holidays with your family.
Yes.
It's always, it's something that is very recurrent if you talk to the compliance officer. Will I put in jeopardy my career because I see something that's maybe wrong, but maybe it's right?
It's actually it nails it. As I started in the first bank I was working, I thought compliance is independent. I was so naive because I thought, well, the compliance must be independent because otherwise, how can they do a proper job? And then somebody said to me, "Are you a bit, cuckoo? How can you believe the compliance officers are independent? We are paying them. We are their bosses. They have to do what we say. So quite interesting. Your personal situation, are you now done with everything, or is there still something ongoing against you, or anything?
So against me, well, first I still have some criminal complaints going on against them, against Patrick Mahoney, Tarek Obeid. It's still under investigation. Something I discovered that the speed of justice is not the speed of a human being. Whatever you consider quick for the justice, it's not the same. They will tell you, don't worry, we are going after that. Will you get some news next year? It's not next week, but that's the way it is. You can't fight the system. Sometimes we are upset of the slow process, but that's the way it is. It's nothing against us. It's the way it works. And against me, yes, something very funny. It's so funny that apparently, it has been confirmed by the prosecutor in the press. But in 2019, last year, I was called by journalists, a few of them, 3 of them, saying, Xavier, you are under investigation for industrial espionage. I said, I have no idea. So as of today, November 2020, apparently, because it has been said in the press by the prosecutor offices that I was under investigation. But as of today, me, my lawyer, anybody related to me never received any kind of confirmation by post, emails, phone, pigeon, smoking signs, whatever. I don't know. Apparently, Petro Saudi, Tarek Obeid, or Patrick Mahoney put a complaint against me for industrial espionage. The only thing I have to say about industrial espionage, it's the only industrial thing in this affair. The only industrial thing is the amount of money that they stole. 1.5 billion out of a deal of 1.8 billion. That's the industrial stuff.
Yeah. All right. So thank you very much. Now, if you have watched, do you watch my videos from the past? Have you seen a few, like, or not at all? Oh, it's stuck now. The picture is stuck, Xavier. I can't hear you. Hello.
Sorry.
Have you watched any of our video broadcasts? Don't do it like Joe.
I've saw just one because, as I said before being cut, we are just new friends on social media. I will look into it because I think it's something I have to do, and I like this. So
thank you very much.
I will be following you, my friend.
So whatever we missed in our interview, people can Google your name and go to your YouTube channel and keep up to date. I really like your story. It's incredible what you went through. Now, the philosophy of don't do it like Joe, the blog, as we started it, is actually to learn from other people's mistakes. You know, like don't do it like Joe means Joe is me, you know, or don't do it now like Xavier. What would be your advice for young people or our age people or any age of people? What could you say out with your experience, which is unique, what you have made, what is a good life advice?
So I don't want to look like a guru or like a philosopher, but I've been through a lot. I was not probably due to live this, but I've been through that. I had a conference with some students from the university in Lausanne, and we were speaking about choices. We all have choices in life. Some are minor choices, some others are life-changing choices. I made a choice of giving those data. I'm very proud of it. Even with all the suffering, I'm very proud of it because my son will know who his father was. But don't do it like Xavier. Don't do it by yourself. If someday you have something to expose, use the help of professionals. We have lawyers, Swiss lawyers, real lawyers, not like the one we talked previously. Decent people. Now you have companies, you have organizations that can help you. So do it, but do it well.
Okay, I think that's a very good life advice. I thank you so much, Javier, for making so much time, and it's a great story. And all the best to you and your family.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you to all of you.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.